When my son knocked on my bedroom door at 2 a.m., I thought something terrible had happened. His hands were shaking, his eyes red, like he had been crying for hours. "Mom, I need to tell you something," he whispered. "Mera dilis waxita zamin pigargaya." Because the last time he cried like this, he was just 6 years old. He sat on the edge of my bed, holding something tightly in his fist. A small silver key. The same key I had lost almost 12 years ago. "Where did you find this?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just looked at me with fear. Genuine, painful fear. "Mom, the storage room in the backyard, it was unlocked." My breath stopped. That room had been locked since the night my husband left us. No one had entered that room. Not even me. I went inside, my son said in a shaking voice, and I found Dad's old phone. It was still working. My heart froze. My husband had disappeared without a trace, leaving me and my son alone.
Police ne bola DHA que WOKB wapanayayega.
But now, there was proof. Maybe he never left voluntarily. Maybe he was forced. Or worse, maybe he had a secret he never wanted us to know. "Mom, there's a video inside the phone," my son said. "And it was recorded the night he disappeared." My son put the phone in my hand. The screen lit up. One unread video. One date. One truth. And then the video started playing, but what we saw next was something neither of us were prepared for. The screen flickered as the first frames of the video appeared. I couldn't move. My hands were trembling, and my son sat silently beside me, clutching the blanket, eyes wide like saucers. The video showed the familiar backyard, our backyard, bathed in dim light from a single lamp. The camera wobbled slightly, as if held by someone in a rush. Then a shadow appeared. A man, tall, moving quickly. My heart froze. It wasn't just any man. It was him, my husband. But something was off. His movements weren't natural. He seemed scared, anxious. Every step he took made a soft creaking sound on the old wooden floorboards. The camera's perspective changed. Now we could see the storage room. The door, which had been locked for years, was slightly ajar. He glanced around, nervously. It felt as though he was looking for someone or something. And then, in a split second, he pulled something out from behind the old cabinet. A small black envelope. He held it in his hands like it was fragile, like it contained a dangerous secret. Suddenly, the video skipped. The next scene showed him talking on the phone. His voice low, almost a whisper. I couldn't hear clearly, but the words, "They won't forgive me, and if she finds out," made my blood run cold. My son squeezed my arm. "Mom, who are they?" I didn't answer. I didn't want to. I was already imagining the worst. The video continued. He seemed desperate, pacing back and forth. Then, out of nowhere, a knock at the door. Not gentle, forceful.
Someone wanted in.
My heart thumped in my chest. Every second felt like an hour. And then the screen went black. For a moment, I thought the video had ended. But a new clip appeared. This time, a shaky handheld view. Someone else was in the backyard now. Two figures. Shadows in the night. I couldn't see their faces clearly. But their voices, oh, their voices. Cold, harsh, unrecognizable. "You know the rules," one said. We warned him already. Then a scuffle. A sudden loud thud. A cry. And silence. I gasped, clutching the phone tighter. My son covered his mouth with both hands. We both knew this was the last night anyone saw him before he disappeared. The video ended abruptly, leaving only the faint sound of wind blowing through the backyard. Silence filled the room. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding like a drum. The past 12 years, all the unanswered questions, all the sleepless nights. Every worry, every suspicion, suddenly had a shape, a sound, a reality. I turned to my son, tears blurring my vision. "We have to find out what this envelope was," I whispered. His hands shook as he nodded. I hid it," he said, pulling a crumpled black envelope from his pocket. I froze. He had kept it all this time? All these years? "What's inside?" I asked, barely able to breathe. He opened it slowly, as if opening it too quickly could destroy our entire world. Inside, a stack of old papers. Notes, letters, documents. And at the very top, a photo. A photo of my husband standing next to a man I didn't recognize, shaking hands. The note beneath it read, "This is only the beginning. If she finds out, everything is lost." I felt my knees weaken. I had suspected something for years, something darker than I had ever imagined. The papers revealed more financial transactions, secret accounts, trips he never mentioned. Trips that didn't make sense. Trips he took alone.
Trips where he had met them. Who were they?
And why did they scare him so much that he disappeared? Hours passed as we pored over the envelope. Each paper, each note added more questions than answers. But one thing became painfully clear. My husband's disappearance wasn't random. It wasn't a simple abandonment. Someone or something had forced him to vanish. And now, 12 years later, the secret was resurfacing, reaching out through the phone, through the envelope, through the memories I had tried so hard to bury. I looked at my son, the boy who had grown up without a father, unaware of the storm that had taken him away. He looked at me, tears in his eyes. "Mom, what do we do now?" I didn't answer immediately. I just held him close, my mind racing, my heart aching. Because one thing was certain, the journey to the truth was only beginning. And whoever had taken him, whoever had threatened him, whoever had been behind all of this, they hadn't counted on us coming after them. The screen went dark again, leaving us with only one thought. The past never stays buried. It waits. And it always comes back. We decided to start investigating immediately. The first step was to track the trips my husband had taken, the ones nobody knew about. I contacted a few old friends, colleagues, anyone who might have known where he went. It didn't take long to realize something terrifying. Every place he visited was linked to a secret network, a group operating in the shadows. People who weren't supposed to be found, people who could erase your life without leaving a trace. My son and I worked quietly, cautiously. We didn't want anyone to know we were digging into this. Every call, every email, every message had to be encrypted. It was a dangerous game. Yet, the closer we got, the more we realized the scale of what my husband had been involved in. It wasn't just a disappearance. It was a puzzle, with pieces scattered across the world, pieces that could bring danger to anyone who touched them. One night, while reviewing the papers, my son paused. "Mom, look at this." It was a photo, slightly faded, dated 10 years ago. My husband was there, standing in a warehouse filled with crates. And in the corner, a symbol. Something that looked familiar, like a logo I had seen once in the back of an old notebook he kept hidden. I traced every symbol, every number, every note in that envelope. It led me to places I had never imagined. Secret meetings, covert operations, hidden bank accounts. The more I learned, the more I realized how careful my husband had to be and how terrified he must have been. Then, one evening, we received a message.
No sender, no signature.
Just 3 words. "Stop digging now." My hands shook. My son's eyes widened. It was a warning. Someone knew we were getting close. But fear didn't stop us. It couldn't. Not after 12 years of lies, mysteries, and unanswered questions. We pressed on, quietly, determined. Every lead, every clue, brought us closer to the truth and closer to the people who had taken him. Days turned into nights, and nights into endless hours of planning. We mapped out every trip, every meeting, every secret exchange. And then a breakthrough. A document buried deep in the stack revealed a location, a place my husband had marked as safe. It was far, hidden, but it was the key. "We have to go there," I said. My son nodded. It was dangerous, but there was no turning back. For the first time in 12 years, the hope of answers, of seeing him, maybe, just maybe, alive, filled our hearts. And as we packed to leave, I felt a strange mix of fear and anticipation. Because the moment we stepped outside, we were stepping into the unknown. A world my husband had tried to protect us from, a world where secrets weren't just dangerous. They were deadly. The journey to uncover the truth had begun. And nothing, not time, not lies, not fear, could stop us now. We left our home at dawn. The sky was pale. The air was cold. Every step felt heavier than the last. My son held my hand tightly. Neither of us spoke. We both knew the road ahead was dangerous. The location my husband had marked as safe was miles away. It was an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. From the outside, it looked empty. Old walls, broken windows, rusted doors. But inside, it was a different story. We had to be careful. One wrong move, and we could be discovered. As we entered, the smell of dust and decay hit us. The floor creaked beneath our feet. Everything felt like it had been frozen in time. Then we saw it. A locked room in the corner, slightly hidden behind stacked crates. The same symbol I had seen in the photo from the envelope. My heart raced. This had to be it. I pulled out the envelope from my bag. The papers, the notes, the map, they all pointed here. My son looked at me nervously. I don't know if we should, he whispered. I shook my head.
No.
We have to know the truth. I tried the lock. It was old, but it gave way easily. Inside, a desk. Old files. And on top of the desk, a small box. This was it. Everything my husband had hidden. I opened the box slowly. Inside were more documents, photos, and a small USB drive. The USB drive caught my attention immediately. I had a feeling it contained the answers. I put it into my phone. Files appeared. Videos, spreadsheets, photos. Everything was here. A video file named for Renata blinked on the screen. I pressed play. My husband appeared. Older than I remembered, tired, worried. Renata, he said, if you are watching this, it means they succeeded in keeping me away. But you have to know the truth. The truth about us. About the people who took everything from me. And why I had to disappear. I held my son closer. His eyes were wide. I couldn't look away. The video continued. He spoke of threats, of secret accounts, of people who would destroy anyone who tried to uncover their operation. He explained why he had to leave suddenly. Why he couldn't contact us. But then he paused. His face turned pale. He whispered, if you follow this path, be careful. They're still watching. They never forget. And they never forgive. The video ended abruptly. We stared at each other, hearts racing. The envelope, the warehouse, the USB, it was all more than we could have imagined. And now the danger was real. Not just for him, but for us. We left the warehouse quietly. We had to plan our next move carefully. The truth was here. But so was the threat. And someone was still following us. I knew one thing. We had come too far to stop now. The answers were within reach. And I was ready to face whatever came next. We returned home quietly. The warehouse and the USB drive were heavy in our minds. Every step felt tense. We didn't know who was watching. We didn't know what danger awaited. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my husband, about the people he mentioned, the threats, the secrets. I felt fear, but also determination. I had to finish this. The next morning, we began decoding the files on the USB. They were encrypted. It took hours to unlock them. Every file revealed more. Bank accounts, transactions, hidden properties, people connected to my husband's disappearance, people still active. Then we found it. A final location. A remote villa. Somewhere no one would think to look. The documents hinted my husband had been held here. It was heavily guarded. But this was our last chance. We couldn't turn back. We planned carefully. We waited for nightfall. My son and I approached the villa quietly. Shadows moved. Lights flickered inside. I felt my heart pound. The past 12 years of unanswered questions had led to this moment. We found a small entrance at the back. It was unlocked. We entered silently. The villa smelled of dust and old wood. The floorboards creaked. I whispered to my son, "Stay close." Suddenly, a door opened. A figure appeared. It was him, my husband. He looked thinner, tired, older. But he was alive. I ran to him. We embraced. Tears fell freely. My son hugged his father. After 12 years, we were together again. He explained everything. How he had been forced to leave. How he had been hiding to protect us. How the people who took him had powerful influence. How Every step he had taken was to keep us safe. We stayed in the villa, planning our next steps. We gathered evidence. We documented everything. The USB, the envelope, the files, proof of the network that had destroyed our family. Then we acted. We contacted authorities, sharing every detail. They investigated. The people who had taken him were caught. The network collapsed. We were finally safe. Sitting together that night, I looked at my son and husband. I felt relief, joy, and exhaustion. 12 years of fear, uncertainty, and pain had ended. We had survived. We had uncovered the truth. And finally, we were free. But one thought stayed with me. Even after the danger was gone, the past never truly leaves you. It stays in your heart. It shapes you. And sometimes, it waits for the moment to remind you how strong you have become. We returned home the next day. Life slowly began to feel normal again. But I knew one thing for sure. No secret could stay buried forever. No one could break the bond between a mother, her son, and the truth. And as I tucked my son into bed that night, I whispered quietly, "We survived the storm, my boy. And now, we can finally live in the light." We returned home quietly. The USB weighed heavy. We didn't know who was watching. That night, I couldn't sleep. Next morning, we decoded the files. A remote villa. It was where my husband had been held. We went at night. Shadows moved. Lights flickered. Then we saw him.
Alive.
We hugged, tears falling. He explained everything. How he hid to protect us. We collected evidence. Authorities caught the network. We were safe. But my phone buzzed. Message: "This is not over." The past never leaves. It waits. For now, we are ready. Subscribe and hit the bell.
I never believed smart home devices could be dangerous until the night mind started talking to me without being activated. I live alone, and my smart speaker sits on a shelf across the room, usually silent unless I say its name. But that night, at 2:14 a.m., it whispered, "Don't go near the window." At first, I thought it was a glitch, until I checked the command history. There was no record of it saying anything. I tried to ignore it, went back to bed, but a few minutes later it said again, "He's outside, don't look." My blood turned to ice. I froze in my bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to my own breath shaking. Then the speaker whispered, almost trembling, "He knows you're awake now." I slowly reached for my phone to turn the system off, but the moment I touched it, every light in my house turned off at the same time. Silence. Darkness. Then the speaker played the sound of footsteps, slow, heavy, coming from inside the hallway, moving toward my bedroom door. I grabbed a bat, opened the door, and found nothing, but the speaker lit up again and said, "You shouldn't have opened it." The next morning, I checked the security cameras. Every camera had footage except the hallway. That one was completely black from 2:14 to 3:06 a.m., as if something was standing right in front of it, blocking the view. Now my speaker refuses to turn off, and last night, it said something new that made me leave my house immediately. "Don't run. He remembers you."